Do you think Baltimore deserves to be co-favorites with the Bills?
Well, look, I'm just going to keep it honest.
Oh.
You in the AFC, you can always put the Chiefs as a favorite. I mean, they've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, right?
Good.
1-3. So you could do that. But I do think Vegas is saying, all right, they've been to 5 of the last 6.
What? How are they going to get to 6?
That's ridiculous.
One team ever has been to 4 straight, the Bills, and they didn't win any of them. So I think they're looking at it like, they're not going to the Super Bowl every year. All right?
How's that work?
And then I think with the Eagles, obviously it's very difficult to get back, let alone repeat. There's only been 2 teams this century. So once you get past the Chiefs and the Eagles, the Ravens can be first. You could. I mean, they got the 2 teams. Some people might throw Detroit in there. I think the Ravens, of the 3 teams, the Bills, Detroit, Ravens, I got Baltimore. And I'm riding with Baltimore this year. I think this will be the year
week.
that
Spoiler.
spoiler alert.
No,
this will be the year they get it. Well, it's always in pencil in July.
Okay.
It's always in pencil in July.
Stay tuned
all
for
right.
predictions week.
That said, I think Vegas is saying, all right, obviously you love the roster. They're believing that Lamar is going to get it done. All right? He's the only 2-time MVP who hasn't. So they're saying, look, eventually he'll get it done. There's a reason all the multiple MVP winners have won a championship. All right? The only guy, I think, the best quarterback never to win a Super Bowl, Dan Marino. If you look at Marino's career, as fabulous as he was, his numbers started to decline after like his 6th season.
Yes.
And the team was no longer great every year. They had some good years, some bad or mediocre years. Not the case with Lamar. Like, he's clearly getting better, and his team is consistently in contender status. So I think they're just saying, look, it's time for him to get better. The question's been the playoffs. But look at him in the playoffs. He has gotten much better, despite, I know he made the mistakes last year, and I've criticized him for that. But look at the first 4 games versus the last 4 games. Those last 4 of his last 2 years. Completion percentage skyrocketed. Yards per pass skyrocketed. Touchdown to I did total touchdowns to total turnovers. But look how much better it is. It's not perfect, but it's way better. And then the passer rating, obviously, almost double.
But don't you – hold on. So this is not
– So you don't think he's gotten better?
It's not that I don't think he's gotten better. It's that I think that right-hand column is unintentionally misleading. Because I don't look at it as Lamar's played 4 pretty good games. I look at it as Lamar's played 2 awesome games.
Yes.
1 truly awful game, the AFC Championship game against Kansas City.
Last year.
And 1 weird game last year.
Where he was really good at times, and then but he had the 2.
Right, where the first half I thought he played really poorly, and then in the second half did everything he could to overcome it.
It's so funny because okay. Okay. There's a lot that I want to say here. First off, to blame Lamar, I just, the reason why I'm hesitating here, there's a few reasons why. Because one, it's like, to say that Lamar played awful in that one game in the AFC Championship game, I just think it's just not fair. I mean, like, it's just straight up not fair to put that on him, to pretend like, oh, the team would have won, would have been great if it wasn't for Lamar. That is the indicator of a bad game. But Lamar, it's what I keep saying, and I've said this ever since that game unfolded, that Lamar was left on an island. He was left on an island. He was left on an island. And I've been talking about this actually recently with Bo Nix, ironically, for completely different reasons. But like I keep referencing like a high school quarterback who's clearly on a bad team. They're just not good. It's just not well coached. It's a random high school team, but they have an amazing athlete, an awesome quarterback. But like and they're just like, we need him to just have the ball in his hands, and he's just, he would be the best player essentially at every position that he could play on. But like, we have him at quarterback because like we just need the ball in his hands, every single time. And like, that's almost what that game looked like. in that AFC Championship game. And I don't really have a strong desire right now to completely unpack, an AFC Championship game from 2023. But when you try to pretend like that, like something like this is misleading, because what Nick is pretty much trying to say of like, you're trying to act like these are actually pretty good numbers. The 66.7 completion percentage, the 281 yards, yards passed, and it's like, it's actually not that good because he actually had like 2 awesome games, one horrendous game, and one kind of weird game. And it's like, it's just not the true story. And I, again, it's just like, to me, to answer the question directly, does Baltimore deserve to be the Super Bowl co-favorites? It's like, I think these teams consistently are great. Like what Bruce saying about like, I think Vegas is thinking like this. No, they're not. They're thinking strictly mathematically. They're not like, well, we've never seen this before, and he's got 2 MVPs, and he's eventually gonna get. That's not how these odds work, right? Like this is going to be strictly mathematical and strictly financial. It's like they're trying to figure out like, what are the appropriate odds, not what they think like certain trends are gonna be, or like they know Kansas City has done it, all these years, and they think like they can't do it every year. Like that's just not how it works, like at all. Kansas City Chiefs had a stacked roster, an awesome roster, and was, if they had the Baltimore Ravens roster, whatever it is, like then they would be up there too. So like it's just not based off of thoughts and feelings. It's just not. So let's just throw that completely out the window. There's just not how it works. But I think if anything, the reason why I would ever have doubt or hesitation saying a team like the Bills or the Ravens should be considered co-favorites, or to use the word, do they deserve? It's really coaching. I mean, it's just really coaching. I mean, if I play the tape forward and I say, okay, the Baltimore Ravens are in the Super Bowl right now, and they're going up against the Eagles, the 49ers, whatever. I can't say with any degree of confidence how the coaching will unfold. I don't have a feeling, especially right now, that can change as the season unfolds, but I can't be like, oh yeah, I trust that this offensive game plan is going to be, I trust that the defense is going to, I don't, because I've been burned and seen that come up short game after game after game, playoff run after playoff run after playoff run. And that will always make me uncomfortable. If I don't have the confidence in the coaching, it is so hard for me to have the confidence in a team. And so I can believe in Lamar Jackson. I can believe that Lamar Jackson is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in the history of the world. And I would still be uncomfortable if it's not paired with a coach that I trust will get the job done. And when I see the coaching, consistently and reliably come up short, I'm like, Now, again, there's different levels of that. It's not like I just completely doubt or have no confidence in the coaching. Like, I'm not saying that at all. And even some of the coaching adjustments that they made throughout last season was high level. But it just does seem like in these biggest moments when it matters most, I'm just like, what's the plan here? What are you trying to accomplish? Which is especially why I don't think it's fair just to kind of, just post Lamar's playoff record and be like, here you go, this is the situation. But I also totally disagree with the other counter of that argument where it's just like, Lamar Jackson's had no one, and he's been carrying this team, and it's like, that's not true either. That's why I always say Lamar is a part of that, and he's also, he contributes to it, but it's not all of it. It's many factors here. It's not just like this team would win a Super Bowl if it wasn't for Lamar, or it's this team would have won a Super Bowl if they just supported Lamar more. Just supported him more. It's like, I don't think either of those things are necessarily true, quite frankly. But like, going into the playoffs, like how I said, the whole thing with like, they're in the Super Bowl, what's my confidence level of how great they'll be? I actually do have a pretty high level of confidence that Lamar will still be great. Will still play well. Again, we've seen all these Super Bowls where quarterbacks make mistakes. We've seen throughout the playoffs, they make mistakes. Patrick Mahomes has clearly not been perfect. Jalen Hurts, who absolutely played awesome, who I've been praising all offseason in the Super Bowl, he threw an interception. He got fooled by the defense. And then from that point forward, he did not. He played flawless, and he played an awesome game. And like, that's the way it happens. Even in the previous Super Bowl when he, had the fumble and whatnot. So it's just like, you don't have to be 100% flawless and perfect. You just don't. I mean, even in the AFC Championship game with Mahomes versus the Bills, Mahomes was not perfect. Jalen Hurts, I'm trying to think of any other. He was not perfect against the Rams in that game. Still played great, still stepped up, but was clearly not perfect in other moments of the games. I'm trying to think of other, anyone recent. Matthew Stafford throwing interceptions during his Super Bowl run. So it's just like you can't expect perfection, and anything shy of that is it's the quarterback's fault. Like, that's what I often always push back on. And so to me, it's just like, do you have the confidence, though, that the coaching can find their way through when these things happen? And I haven't 100% seen it. Even when the Ravens were making a comeback against the Buffalo Bills, I didn't feel as though it was because of amazing play calling or strategy or adjustments or anything like that. Like, it didn't really feel like that at all. I mean, it just didn't. And then, of course, you combine that with literally dropping balls and fumbles, and you're just like, okay, what if I had the degree of confidence that they would have then been able to beat the Chiefs? Like, I don't, and I wouldn't have. Would I believe that Lamar Jackson wouldn't be able to handle the moment against the Kansas City Chiefs? No, I would believe that he could. But would I have the same level of confidence that they would have a great game plan going into that game? There would be no reason for me to believe it. There would be no reason for me to have that take, because I haven't been shown it. I wasn't shown it against the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round. So why would I see it in the AFC Championship game? I wouldn't. I mean, it would be more surprising than anything. And then going into the Super Bowl, I would still need to be like, okay, you did that great against the Chiefs. Can you do it against the Eagles? I'm like, I don't know. And so that's why it's like, any of this deserving, it's like, I don't know. It's why I didn't even, even though I thought the Eagles were the better team going against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, it's like the degree of the depth of resume for like Andy Reid and Spags and Kelsey and Mahomes. It's just like, yeah, those coaches, even though the Eagles have been better throughout this whole season than the Kansas City Chiefs, it's like, I understand why you're going to have a lot of confidence in the Chiefs, especially because the guys who are responsible for getting these players focused, for getting these players in positions to succeed, for getting these players and coming up with the game plan, the approach, the play calling, to make the changes, the adjustments, whether it's in the first quarter or the third quarter, whatever it may be. It's like, those guys have been there so many times, and they've showed up for decades, for literal decades in Spags and Andy. It's like, it's hard to push back against that when you look at like Kellen Moore. It's just like, oh my God, Kellen Moore, what are you, like 38 years old or something? It's like, this is the biggest game in your entire existence. It's just another game for Spags and Andy. Fangio has the decades of experience, but like not reliably at Super Bowl levels here. So you're just like, all right, like I see that. Yet even those guys were still able to overcome it. Kellen Moore, master game plan. The way how he kind of chopped up the field for Jalen Hurts, amazing. Same thing with Fangio, master game plan. Just absolutely just got after it. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. The Eagles were able to do that in 1 year, and I haven't been able to see the Ravens do that since Lamar Jackson has been quarterback. And same thing with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So to me, there is no deserving, because these teams over the course of their careers have been the best teams. I think it's really fair to say that the Baltimore Ravens were the best team in the NFL in 23. They were not the best coached. The Kansas City Chiefs were the best coached. And at the end of the day, they won because they were the best coached. And you pair that with a Patrick Mahomes and players who step up in big moments, you're going to win a Super Bowl, as we clearly saw. So there to me, there is no deserving. I'm almost happy that they put the word deserve, because that adds like a little bit more of like an emotional component to it. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, that's just the way I look at it, honestly. Yeah, I think that's as fair as it can be. But I mean, like, if you said like, who do you think will be the best team or so, I think it's fair to say that the favorite, that the Ravens deserve to be like co-best team in the NFL or something like that. But like, will they actually get the job done? It's like, that's a different question. That's a different way of looking at it. And I'm hopeful that there's an evolution. I'm hopeful that changes get made, but like, you know, it's just at this point, predictions are a dime a dozen. It's just like you gotta show it. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of straightforward in that way, honestly. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Baltimore Ravens? Do you think that they deserve to be Super Bowl favorite, co-favorites with the Buffalo Bills? And how do you think about the conversation, how it unfolded, the conversation that we always have about Lamar's playoff career? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.